channel. Hey, you know what time it is?
What time is it, man?
Welcome everyone to another episode of Beatdown, the segment and channel where two worlds collide. I am your host, Class. This is my co-host,
Mr. J. What's going on, guys? And we would like to remind you, if you like these videos or this channel, go in the section below, hit the like button, share, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, today we're doing a recommendation one. I believe it was from J.O. So thank you, J.O. for this recommendation. And I'm going to kick things off. I will be representing Jason Bourne's franchise, Jason Bourne. All right, so let's get into the brief origin story of Jason Bourne. Okay, I forget his real name because they actually tell his real name in the sequel, but we're just gonna stick with Jason Bourne because that's how we know him. Okay.
I was gonna say it's not Jason Bourne.
No, apparently something else. But anyways, beside the point. So let's get into it. So in the beginning, let's start off where we find Jason. We find Jason in the middle of Italy's ocean seas, and he gets picked up by these fishermen out of nowhere. And they get him up to shore, and then they cut him open because they're trying to figure out what's the deal with him, because apparently they wanted to see what happened to him. Then they found like a bullet hole in him. They found several bullet holes in him. They found a lot of things, and they also found this little bank account attached to his hip or inside his hip. And they're like, okay. He wakes up and he doesn't remember who he is. So he spends the time working with these fishermen until he gets to shore. And then eventually winds up in Switzerland. Then eventually he wants to travel, I believe, to France or something like that, because he wants to figure out who he is, because he can't remember who he is. But he does remember certain particular things, which is his skills. It's almost like he remembers how to ride a bike, but he doesn't remember who taught him how to ride the bike. Isn't that crazy? So he starts realizing that he knows things that not a lot of ordinary people are aware of. Like he knows the weight of someone's height, or he knows the weight of someone's person. He knows who can handle their own. He knows how many license plates are outside. He knows a whole bunch of things that not normal people know. So he eventually meets a girl. He travels with her back to France and stuff like that to discover, maybe because he only has like fond memories of what he can remember, glimpsing images, but he doesn't remember everything completely. But he starts realizing during this whole journey that he's no ordinary man, and that he might be an assassin. Later on turns out that he was actually an agent for the CIA, a very highly expensive agent for the CIA, but an agent nonetheless, an assassin agent, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's the somewhat brief origin story of Jason Bourne. So now we get into powers, abilities, and feats. All right. So he took down 2 Switzerland police armed officers in a matter of seconds. Took down 3 men in an embassy in Switzerland, disarmed a man with a pen, maneuvered around 2 police bikes and a police vehicle using a very old Mini Cooper. Thinks on his feet, example, taking a radio and a map as he was exiting somewhere, so that way he can know how to get out to the building without having to need to second guess it. He was strategically thinking on his feet while he was moving around. Scaled off the edge of a building. That's no small feat there. Took out a man who had a long-range distance shot to his advantage. Okay, so there was a sniper that had him at long range, and he managed to run all the way from that distance far away and get up to close range to this guy. This guy hid in the forest somewhere underneath like the meadow or something like that where he couldn't see him, and he managed to figure out where he was and shoot him with a hunting rifle shotgun. Okay, this guy had a sniper rifle and he had the upper advantage, and still Jason managed to flip it on him and take that guy down. That was crazy. Let's see. He unarmed a man using a rolled up magazine and took down using a cable wire while it was plugged into a light. Okay, so he managed to kind of wrap a cable wire around this guy's neck. On top of that, while the guy had a blade on him, he managed to use a rolled up magazine and take that weapon off of him, just using a rolled up magazine. Okay, he blew up a building after that with that rolled up magazine using a toaster and exposing the gas line. So let's just say Jason is very good at improvisation. He knows what to do when a moment's notice, when it comes to taking out an opponent, when it comes to explosion, when it comes to using anything in his arsenal. He knows how to use a weapon regardless of what it is. It could be literally a rope, or it could be a towel, and he can disarm somebody with it. So that is some advantage there. He found an agent who was hunting him down and even had to jump on her, as he had a sniper from a far distance, and while he was talking to her on the phone. Let's not forget that he's been like 10 steps ahead of them. While people are just discovering him coming out of a building, he's already running, driving a car, leaving the scene. So the guy is fast, the guy is quick, the guy is determined and laser focused when it comes to getting the job done. Okay, and the last thing I'll add is that he escaped under a police bridge using a fisherman's spear to hold himself around the bridge structure and made his way to a bus. Okay, so this is how he did it. He found a fisherman's spear. Police were all ganging up on him. There was a bridge. The boat went under it. He uses the spear, grabs onto a part of the bridge, holds onto it with his own hands. Okay, this is a fishing thing that could break at any point in time. And how is he gonna hold on to it? It's not a regular rope. It's a freaking damn stick, pretty much. He managed to get himself up from using his own body and escape going to a bus before the police could catch him. The guy has shown some impressive feats. All right, so let's get into the end game of this one. Okay, so I'm going to say his footwork is going to be his greatest defense against Rambo in this situation. Rambo's got a lot of force. So whenever he's going to throw it, he's going to throw at him hard. That's usually Rambo's style. So Jason's best advantage to this point is using his footwork to kind of dodge and maneuver around all the throws that Rambo might throw. On top of that, if he has a gun in his hand, I do believe that Jason's probably going to be a lot more equipped to be able to shoot a more proper aim than Rambo. Rambo just kind of goes splatter and shoots around everything, which is great. But if there was a one bullet situation, I think Jason would be able to take him down with that one bullet. Another thing is, I do believe that whatever Rambo might have, a knife, a blade, or inlet, I do believe Jason could disarm him. He used pretty much a rolled up newspaper or rolled up magazine to take one guy off and take his blade off of his arm. He took another guy's weapon off using literally a towel. So I do believe Jason does have the ability to disarm Rambo without having to use his actual techniques to do it. Another thing is, he's going to have to bleed him out. Rambo is big, tough guy. So the best thing he's going to need to do is use some kind of glass, something to stab him a bunch of times, get all the pressure points, because let's face it, Jason is capable and is strategic enough to figure out those situations where there might be an easy cut artery, something that might give him more of an advantage if the guy is bleeding out. And that's pretty much the only way I do believe Jason has his advantage. So long story short, to the end game, I do believe his footwork is going to keep him from getting a real direct blow from Rambo. I do believe that the way he can disarm somebody might give him the chance to just take the upper advantage of him. He can use a blade to bleed Rambo out by finding all the weak spots, obviously, in the body. And in that way, I do believe at some point Rambo will go down and Jason could just grab a gun, put a bullet in his head, and call it a day.
Well, all right. That is definitely an interesting argument. And one, it's going to be tough to go against that, but I'm going to try it nonetheless. I will be going with the Rambo franchise, and my contestant will be John Rambo. So, I'm not going to do the origin or the bio based on the book already, as you may know. But John James Rambo, former Vietnam veteran, highly skilled Green Beret. He returned home from war, as we know from the first movie, and just things were not going his way that day. He had been looking a long time for all of his friends, and just one by one, they all were dead. And he comes to find out that he's also homeless and just kind of aimlessly wandering around. But all of his friends are dead, and he slowly realizes that he is the last one, and there is nobody else left. So he kind of doesn't really know what to do, and he's just walking around, and he's in a small town, and some little sheriff just decided to be a prick that day. Now, as a lot of you already remember, we all remember what happened in that first movie. Rambo pretty much took out a small town and took over their police station. And this wasn't like, oh, Rambo decided to just give it up. No, they had to pull in his old commanding officer to talk some sense into him, because he was committed. He was like, look, either you're going to kill me or I'm going to kill all of you. But either way, this is happening. They couldn't get into the police station, and he knew it. I don't really remember the events of 2 and 3 too much. They kind of blended together for me. But either way.
He pretty much went back to war by himself. And then came back.
This man is a one-man army. Like, Jason Bourne has been shown to be able to take out like small groups and small little squads of guys. Rambo's taking on full armies. There was another movie, I believe it's called Last Blood, where he takes out pretty much an entire drug cartel. The man is he's a little bit more crafty than people believe. He's very strategic. He sets a lot of traps. So one thing, Jason's going to have to look for is his trap.
Yeah, he comes to his house. Yeah, it's a whole different story. Yeah, I agree with that.
The traps, the setup, and also he's very stealthy. 80s film, not exactly the best example, but he will just pop out of the water on you. I'm just saying. Anyway.
I mean, in the first one, he managed to take out everybody in the forest. I mean, he just managed to use like tricks up his sleeve, and then I know he got the sneak attack. So there is that.
He's great. He's great at using the environment to his advantage, as well as, just like Jason does. He uses anything he can get his hands on. Anything in his hand is a weapon. So I'm gonna go into his weapons and his skills a little bit. Yes, like I said, he's crafty. He will use anything, but a couple weapons that he's known for, or I would say would be his bread and butter, is his survival knife and his compound bow. But he's also known to use the M60. That's that big machine gun that he was holding at the end, and he fires up in the air. You all know which one it is.
When he's holding, when he's like shirtless and he goes da 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 da.
Yeah, exactly. His occupation, like I said, he's a former Green Beret mercenary. He's also been a stick fighter. This doesn't really play into the fight too much, but he's also a handyman. Now you might ask why I bring that up, and he's very crafty with tools and making things, which means he will make and forge his own weapon. So he can think on his feet as well. Going into the end game, Rambo's obviously going to need to use his environment to his advantage. He's going to have to set a trap for Jason somehow, some way. Definitely keep a distance. I don't know if he's going to be able to get as much distance out of a compound bow, but he's pretty damn accurate with that thing. I'll just say that. If he can't hit Jason with it, obviously he has his survival knife. Honestly, toe-to-toe, straight up, one-on-one fight, I don't know if Jason can really take him. Rambo is strong and he is vicious, and he's a lot faster than people believe. So if it gets one-on-one with that survival knife, Jason, I don't think is going to be able to disarm him with the magazine. Maybe a towel, but the point is, that big-ass knife is going to be a lot harder to take away from him. I'm just saying, and he likes that knife. He's not going to let it go easy. So
yeah, that's true. The big knife, yeah, for sure. It's not that easy to take away from him.
Didn't he?
I mean, he's had it.
Didn't he? He also has a machete. I think he chopped some dude head off with it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, you give him anything in his hand and he can make it into a weapon pretty much.
Exactly. So keep a distance if Jason does decide to get close. I don't think it's going to end well for him at all, especially with that knife. But yeah, that's it. I mean, compound bow from a distance, up close. I want to say the knife and his skill, but also that M60 is going to come into play. If Jason does not get out of the way of that thing, he's gonna be lunch meat.
Let it go.
But it's not up to me.
And it's not up to me. It's up to you guys. So, if you guys liked my argument, you know what you can do? You can hashtag Jason Bourne. And if you like my boy's argument, what can you do, brother?
Hashtag Rambo.
All right, guys. And as always, No Press fam, we really appreciate you guys. Catch you guys later. Peace.